RWBY Manga Chapter 6. Now, first off, I gotta apologize for this being super late. For whatever reason, I thought for sure they all came out on like the 15th, which I don't know. Maybe they do, but when they're released to us on our sites, they come out on like the 9th. So when I went to read it today, I was like, oh man, I'm like 4 days behind. And then it was like, oh, this came out on the 7th. So sorry about that. But I did actually end up finding out that the actual person who does the scans, I went on their website. They already have Chapter 7 out. So I'm going to be reading that after I do this. I have like a bunch of other videos, so I don't know. I might actually not read that until tomorrow. But I had a link to the actual Scanlator site that does the manga, and that way you guys can read them on there, and they come out. It was something like the people release it the same day as the magazine, or wherever they get the scans from is now the same day as I'm assuming it's in Shonen Jump, but it's probably not. But whatever magazine it's in, they get it the same day now. So those will be coming out much faster now, which is actually really cool. But this I thought was once again a fun chapter. I really loved the last one. It was the part one to the Black trailer, and it was great. And this was part two was really fun as well. Excuse me. It was had a bit of an issue on the sites for whatever reason. It cut off at 15. This one was actually a little bit longer, so you actually had to go to the Scanlator's website to see the last couple of pages. It was only like three or four more pages, but it was a really good one. I think honestly, I think I liked the last one a little bit more. It seemed like it had more of the action in it, and the design still looked really good. Like when Adam actually went into like his charged up mode, visually, even though it's just in black and white, I was like, I can tell they did a little extra, and it looked like it was actually glowing. And I was like, that looks really cool, just as a simple design. The cool little stance for like the first page. It's Adam with his back turned and Blake looking towards us. So I thought they got some cool shots in there for sure. Quite a few of the panels, especially with Adam doing his thing, it was like, such fast motion. There'd be a full panel of just like white kind of transitioning into black, and it would be like his speed, like he's moving so fast and stuff. But it was still a really fun chapter. I definitely enjoyed it. Of course, based on what we got from last chapter, I knew what this one was going to be, and it was just the end of the trailer. But it still looked good. We still did get a little bit extra because I think the actual transformation of the robot was actually really cool. That was a new little moment that they had specifically inside of the manga, as well as Adam actually defeating the really big one, which unfortunately that didn't show up as cool as I thought it was going to be, because that was one of my favorite parts about that trailer, when he gets his full power and he absorbs the blast, and then he uses his katana and like turns it into the petals. I was looking forward to seeing that look kind of across like two full pages, and it was kind of just like a normal slice, like, oh, it was supercharged clearly because he cut up the giant robot, but it was like, boom, he did it, and that was it. And then there was like the other robot that Blake got behind him, and that was like added, that wasn't in the actual trailer, but it was like, oh, that kind of sucks. I was really looking forward to seeing that like spectacular moment from the trailer done in manga form, two full pages, because I think it deserved it. I would have been totally fine if it took up the full 2 pages, or if it was at least 2 pages, if it was like half of both pages and it just went across, and then the bottom was the extra stuff. That would have been fine, but it was just like, it just had its own little one square in the top right, and it probably did take up about half the page, but it wasn't like across both pages or anything like the giant pictures or anything like that. So I was a little disappointed by it. I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. It didn't show like even any of the petals, none of that stuff. It was like split in two, and I was like, oh, that's a little disappointing, to be totally honest, because that was really what I was looking forward to. It was like my favorite part of the whole trailer, is seeing that ability, and then he destroys this thing, and it like just it literally turns into like petals and wilts away. And I was just hoping, I was looking forward to seeing that. I was like, the scene where he like absorbs the laser looked really cool, and Blake jumping all over the place. They had a scene just like in the last one, except the robot was so much bigger. She was smaller in comparison, so you couldn't see her as well. But there are definitely a lot of cool shots in here. There was one when she uses her gun. It's not when she stabs it, but it's a different part. And she's like bigger than the rest of the page, so she shoots, and the blast goes like down the entire page, or it's like in the middle of the page, and it goes across a couple of different panels. I was like, I love that. That just looks cool. There's a bunch of other little moments like that where it would be like really little stuff, but I liked it. It's like her elbow is like just over the border, but it's not even in the next panel. Little stuff like that. I was like, that's a nice little touch for this one that I don't recall having in any of the other chapters. I know we've had some other stuff like that before where they, go throughout the page, but it was a lot in this. I noticed like just really little stuff too. It wasn't, where it stood out too much, but it was like, it's like literally it would be like just her elbow is going over the barriers. Really little minor stuff, and I was like, I kind of like that touch. It just seemed really cool. It makes them a little bit bigger than they are inside the panels, but it's like it's just barely uncontained within the panel. It's like I kind of like that. For some reason, I noticed it a lot in this chapter, and I actually thought it was pretty cool. We also didn't get too many of the blank panels, which I know is because it's supposed to be because of like a lot of the dialogue and stuff is like that, and also it's the mangaka that actually does this. That's kind of a thing that they do in a lot of their other manga. So we didn't actually get a ton of that. Maybe because there wasn't really any talking in this. There were maybe a total, possibly like 10 lines total, not counting the first page, which was actually from last month's chapter as well, which just has like the stuff with the faunus and their rights and discrimination. So not counting that, there really wasn't that much dialogue. It was probably more than 10 lines, but there wasn't really a lot. A lot of it was seriously just action. It was super quick stuff like, "Are you done? Yes or no." It was like almost there. Really short sentences, and everything else was kind of just like distracted. And then it was just one panel of Blake jumping all over this robot and stuff like that. So still enjoyed this one. I think personally, I still feel like I enjoyed the last one a little bit more, and it could be because that one kind of just blew me away. I was surprised by how much I really loved it, so it might be just how shocked I was because I still really love this one, but coming off of that, which really surprised me, I guess, by how much I really loved it. I think that's still going to end up being my favorite, but I certainly enjoyed this one. Definitely fun. Of course, ends kind of like we thought. Well, odds are if you've seen this, you probably found a way to see the full thing. But if not, definitely just go to the link in the description. You can read the last couple pages. It's the trailer, so I'm not really spoiling anything. Nothing different really happens, except for like one little line, and it's Adam asking Blake if he was wrong, and that was really it. And then I believe it's her saying goodbye, and then the last image is just her. It kind of looks like she's turning invisible almost, which I thought was kind of weird that they kind of drew it that way, because it looks like she's just like disappearing. I was like, it's a weird way to do it. They could have just done it where the train was going away, but it's just her face only, and it's like she's disappearing. I was like, that was a little bit weird. That doesn't signify that she's like going far away where he's stuck behind. So that was a little different. I believe, I think it was because they added the second robot that Blake destroyed to save Adam. I believe that was behind him, or it was one behind her. I forgot. I read this like earlier today. So I don't really remember who it was behind, but they had like a little extra robot that was behind them. So that was like another really minor difference, but still enjoyed this chapter. Really excited to get to the next one, which I read a tiny bit of the description. I believe it's supposed to involve Yang, so that that of course makes a lot of sense. But from what I saw, it didn't look like it was from the trailer. But I don't know, like with the way they're doing things, like with Blake, I think they stuck to the trailer the most compared to everybody else, because she just had like the little introduction thing, and hers was really the trailer almost 100%. Like Weiss had a very different thing where we got to see her as a little girl, and we got to see the training stuff, which translated into the trailer. And the way they did that, it was almost like it kind of meshed time together. The trailer did, once you read through the manga, and then of course chapters 1 and 2 were like the first 3 pages really were from the first trailer, and then everything else was like in between stories. So they didn't really do much of Ruby's. They did, they kind of altered a little bit Weiss's trailer, which I thought was very cool. But Blake was almost like 100%. It was 100%. They just added little extra stuff inside of the trailer, but it was almost 100% verbatim that. But maybe because that was like the action-packed one, that's why they kept it that way. And like I said, with the last one, that's kind of what made me love it. It was just a really great action chapter, and it's stuff I'd seen done in 3D, and that's kind of the challenge, really. It's like we've seen this. It's almost going from the anime to the manga. It's like we've seen this done with all the special effects and everything, but they still made it work in a very beautiful way in the last one. And I think they did a great job in this one as well. I think maybe it just didn't have as much action, oddly enough. It was like the big robot thing, so they weren't like shooting through a bunch of robots and all this extra stuff. It was kind of like the boss battle, so like just hit it and it doesn't take a lot of damage sort of deal. But definitely enjoyed this chapter, of course. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts. Like I said, I am going to be going to chapter 6 right after, or chapter 7 right after this one. And like I said, definitely check the description if you already haven't. And you can get, basically it'll be out much earlier. It is the 20th? Yeah, it's technically the 20th, it's past midnight. So it's the 20th. So that'll kind of let you guys know when they come out officially. So I have my dates mixed up for when they really came out, but now it'll be much closer. It'll be, technically it'll still be later because it'll be on the 20th, but closer to the 15th, I guess, than the 7th, which I really had messed up. But definitely want to know what you guys thought about it. So like I said, please comment below, let me know. And of course, thanks for watching.